Welcome back to the Grounded in Simplicity podcast, where we are helping moms get back to basics and learn to find joy in being less busy. I'm Danielle from the Rustic Elk, joined by my good friend Bonnie from the Not So Modern Housewife. And this week we are going to talk about establishing rhythms.
There's a lot of different rhythms. Like there's a rhythm to the year, a rhythm to the seasons, a rhythm to the month, a rhythm to the week, blah, blah, blah. So we are just going to talk about our daily rhythm for today, because otherwise this is going to be like 6 hours long. Talking about just like setting that daily rhythm. And I don't know, I guess kind of being more intentional with our days, but that way, we don't just blink and all of a sudden it's dinner time and we have no idea what happened to the day.
That happens a lot.
So it happens a lot.
Especially this time of year, because it's dark at like lunchtime.
Right. I will tell you the great thing with it getting dark at 5:30. Although, yeah, you're right. Like I look out, the sun is, it's like 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm like, the sun is going down. Like it looks like dusk outside. And I am just now getting to the point mentally where I'm ready to go outside and do yard work.
Right.
So this is why we're telling you don't be like us. And it doesn't help that I'm really not a morning person. But yeah, anyway, what I was starting to say is that the nice thing with it getting dark early is as soon as the sun goes down, like 5:30, 6:00, my two little ones are like, can we have our nighttime gummies? Which are their like sleepy time gummies. And I'm like, yes, you can. And we're all in bed by 8:00.
Oh, that never happens here.
Well, it's so funny. Like my 4-year-old, and granted, he is usually like the first one up besides my husband. But he has kind of like just decided his bedtime is 8:00. And that is like 7:30. He is getting cranky. Don't try to ask too much of him. Don't try to start an argument with him about anything. Just keep the peace, and like placate him, and he's going to be asleep soon anyway. Otherwise, there's too much crying and too much drama, and it's miserable for everybody. So just for whatever reason, 8:00, he goes and puts himself to bed. Whether it is on the couch, in my bed, in his bed. Yeah. It's like every single night. And I even told my husband, I'm like, apparently his bedtime is 8:00. And of course my husband's like, whatever. None of our other two kids have never gone to bed before 10. And then I was off somewhere and I came home and he's like, you're right. His bedtime is 8:00. Like, the problem with that is that means that I have to make sure that I am ready to feed children at
a reasonable hour.
Yeah, like not 9:00.
So, an hour after he goes to bed.
I have to be ready. Yeah, I have to be ready to like feed children at like 6 or 7 so that I know they all get dinner. You can use your rhythm to set your routine. And for some people, you can set your routine and your body, mind, whatever will fall into a rhythm with that routine. That doesn't work for me and my family. We have to figure out what our rhythm is first, and then we have to try to build a routine around that. I'm really trying to have some kind of a routine.
Right, right.
But like, I know if I try to put too much stuff on the routine, like if I try to say, this is my morning routine and it's got like 20 things on it, those 20 things are not all getting done. So I have to kind of like batch it based upon my own natural rhythm and kind of when I know that my focus is the strongest.
Right.
Which is not usually before I've had a couple cups of coffee. Well, there's a couple things I've been trying to do. I'm actually doing a hypnotherapy session like before I go to bed. That is to help me sleep, which has actually really been helping because my anxiety was getting so bad that I was waking up at 2 a.m. every morning. So that has at least stopped that. Now, it does not stop my dog from waking me up at 2:00 in the morning, but at least that doesn't happen every morning. The Great Pyrenees is like, if I don't pay attention to her, she'll start pawing me. And then if I still don't get up, she will stand on my side of the bed and then like stand over me and paw me. She does not take no for an answer if she wants to go outside at 2 a.m. But then, and it's only because the other Great Pyrenees is outside barking at things. But been getting up in the morning and actually doing another hypnotherapy like first thing in the morning, which really kind of helps to put my mind in the right place and helps me focus first thing in the morning. You did the Miracle Morning for a while with me, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Back when I was doing the Miracle Morning. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a similar concept where like you get up and you do your meditation or whatever. So it's almost like my meditation, but it's more of a guided meditation because I'm listening to this hypnotist. But I'm not doing like all of the other things, even though I probably should be, because it did really help me. But I can't seem to wake up before my children because the earlier I get up, the earlier they get up. So it's been hard to stay on top of the Miracle Morning stuff. But at least starting with the hypnotherapy has really helped.
I will say that I think starting your day kind of like slow, like doing something like that, not instantly grabbing your phone and checking your email and getting on Facebook and all those things definitely like helps your day run smoother. Mm-hmm. Like wait an hour before you pick up your phone and start actually doing things with it. I mean, we both work with our phones a lot, but that doesn't mean that it needs to be the first thing that we do when we get up.
Well, and it's tough because like I've got VAs in the Philippines, and so they like start working at 5 a.m. my time, but it's 6 p.m. their time.
Right.
And the one girl is usually done by noon. So yeah, a lot of times I'm getting up and checking to see if they had any questions for me while I was sleeping so that they can then finish up their work, before their workday is over.
Right.
But the problem is like I would pick up my phone to check their messages. And a lot of times they wouldn't have questions. Most of the time they're just saying good morning, and they kind of like, they know that I'm not available until I tell them good morning. So they've kind of learned like not to start asking me questions until then, which kind of gives me a little bit of a break too, because then I know that like I don't need to check in with them as soon as my eyes open. I can kind of take care of some other things first and then get to that.
Right.
But the problem is I would pick up my phone just to check that. And then I'm jumping on checking my notifications for everything else. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you've noticed this. The new iOS 15 update on the iPhone that just came out. Mm-hmm. So you can set specific focus times. So rather than just turning on Do Not Disturb, like you can have a focus time for work, you can have focus time for school, focus time for like I have one set for my morning routine and my bedtime routine. And you can drag certain apps to like just one screen on your phone. And then when you set that focus time, you set that as the screen for your focus time. So you can't see any of the other apps. Now, I can still scroll over and go to the search bar and search for an app, right? Which I've been kind of bad about continuing to do. But I'm not being bombarded with all of my apps on the screen either. Like I have, this is my focus time that I'm focusing on these apps only. And it's usually my routine app that has like my checklist for the day. I have my Pomodoro timer. I think I do I have a sauna, or I don't know. I have like a couple work related apps, but they're very like task specific. Mm-hmm. It's not like, I go and I'm scrolling Facebook or I'm scrolling my email and all of a sudden it makes me think of all these other things that I need to be doing and adding to my list. Right. Because like you start out your day thinking about all the things and all you're going to do is overwhelm yourself, and you're just setting a day of anxiety and busyness. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really good. Like, even if like one thing that I need to do on a daily basis That really does help me when I sit down and do it. Having a brain dump and thinking about all of the things that need to be done and writing out everything. But then you go back through and you prioritize and you decide, like, you pick just 3 things that are going to be your focus for the day. And if 3 things are too much, then you just pick 1 thing that's going to be your focus for the day. And then you just set everything else aside. And I know some people that'll recommend crumpling up the paper and throwing it away. I can't do that because there are some things on that list that I may never think of again. So I will still keep the list. But it's really like gratifying to me to go back through that list and cross off things either after they've been done or when they're no longer applicable. Or, you know, I can go back through and I can decide, okay, these are things that I don't need to do that I can delegate to somebody else. But that way it really, rather than like, I get all of the thoughts out of my head and put them onto paper. But then also I'm kind of letting my brain know, all right, you don't have to worry about all of these things anymore, because the only thing that we're going to focus on today is going to be this, this, and this, and that's it.
Right.
And I get a lot more done just focusing on those 3 main things than bouncing all over the place trying to, because I'll spend half the day trying to remember what it is that I'm forgetting.
Right. So, what maybe give me an example of your 3 things?
I mean, if we're talking work related, it might be, I'm going to write a blog post. But it might be like if I have a big project, like say I am going to weed the garden, that's going to be the only thing I'm going to focus on today.
Right.
Now, while I'm weeding the garden, I'm probably also going to be picking up sticks and putting stuff in the burn pile. And like, there's going to be other little things while I'm outside. But my main focus is just going to be clearing out all the weeds in the garden beds. I mean, and honestly, like if it's a work related task and my main focus for the day is I'm just going to get this blog post written, that's probably going to be the only thing I'm going to accomplish for the day. Because by the time I finish with that blog post and the research and the structuring and all the things,
right,
my brain is going to be fried and I'm not going to be able to focus on anything else.
Right.
Now I could turn around and knock out a few like small things that don't require the mental energy after I'm done. But you know, that's going to be the only thing that's going to get done that day.
So do you make a list like your 3 things just for work, or do you just make 3 things?
3 things
like
total.
Just so could you make, see, like my list, I do something similar, but I'll take like, okay, I have to do laundry and that's my housework for the day, or I have to weed the garden. That's my outdoor work for the day. Or I need to clean the rabbit cages or clean out the chicken coop or something like that. Something that's going to take me a while, but not necessarily 3 weeks, like weeding the garden. And then like my work task would be, you know, like writing a blog post or, you know, reworking one or scheduling social media or something. So I would pick like 3 tasks that I can accomplish across different, you know what I mean? I know what I'm trying to say.
Well,
I'm brain dead right now.
You can do that. Oh, I know. You can do that too. But like, okay, for instance, okay, you know that my homeschool co-op day is on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to get anything else accomplished after I get home from co-op because my brain's going to be fried. Now, I don't consider laundry as like one of my big tasks for the day because I have that worked into like my daily rhythm. Not to say,
I do too. I just was using it as an example. Like today I cleaned all the floors and that's not really a daily rhythm thing. So that was my task for the day, to make sure we got the fireplace cleaned up and did all the floors.
Right. I mean, so like I'll go through, I mean, I will like hyper focus on something. So I will decide I am rearranging the living room today and I will spend the entire day cleaning, decluttering, and reorganizing the living room. And then I will probably be fried for the next like 3 days.
But that's like a big task. That's not just taking a mop and going across the floor.
Well, right. And and I'm not saying to like take 6 hours just to focus on one thing, because then you're going to be fried the next 3 days. Like I said, you know, I'm starting my day with my hypnosis. And then, you know, I have like a morning routine that I set. So I will normally go out and make my coffee. After I've had my coffee, I will come back, make my bed, take my vitamins and my medicine and that kind of stuff because I need something in my stomach before I take my vitamins. And yes, I should probably eat breakfast, but I don't know. I'm just not a breakfast eater.
Coffee
I have
is something?
collagen. Well, I have collagen in my coffee though, or collagen, or I don't know,
It's
whatever the heck you're supposed to.
collagen.
Collagen. It has an A in it, so I call it collagen.
It's COLLAGEN.
All right, whatever. Collagen. So I want to sound sophisticated. Or just sound like I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. All right. So the collagen seems to be enough to kind of buffer the vitamins. I think my problem is I was eating a lot of bread for breakfast, which was not helping the weight loss journey. So, and the problem is like I can't bring myself to eat anything other than bread for breakfast. So I just drink coffee. This episode was brought to you by Kitchen Botanicals, your sustainable gardening headquarters. Stop by kitchenbotanicals.com and get a look at our 2022 seed varieties, as well as supplies and pest control products to help you with your organic garden. 2022 is a great time to take care of yourself with our Pampered Gardener subscription box. Every month, you'll receive all natural self-care products, untreated heirloom seeds, high-quality garden tools, organic garden amendments, cute and practical supplies, and fun products that we know you'll love. This is your opportunity to take care of yourself in the garden. I started the Pampered Gardener subscription box because I had gone through a time of not taking care of myself and dealing with the stress that it put onto my body. I was ill, I was tapped out, and I felt like I couldn't possibly pour any more out of my empty cup. So I created the Pampered Gardener subscription box for women like me who wanted to get back to what they enjoy, but also wanted to love themselves. So we've put together this collection of gardening and self-care products that are geared towards women who love to garden. You'll get things such as gloves, lotion, bags, hats, sunscreen, mosquito repellent, things that you can actually use, but also things that you'll enjoy. And don't worry, there will still be plenty of gardening tools, seeds. We've created a subscription box like no other, by gardeners for gardeners. Order your own box today. Anyway, but yeah, so I'll make my bed, do the vitamins, and then that's when I end up like pulling out a load of laundry, putting it on the bed to fold, switch all the laundry out, get that rolling. Right. So then I can kind of like do laundry between tasks throughout the day, as long as I start that process going first thing in the morning.
Right.
And of course, it has to start with making my bed, because if I don't have a flat surface to fold the laundry, then it's all for naught. So
I start a load in the morning. I'll grab one of the baskets and throw a load in the wash. And then like at lunchtime, I'll put it in the dryer. And then usually by dinner time, at some point, we end up getting it folded and put away. Mm-hmm. Most days. Yeah. Sometimes it sits in the dryer.
Sometimes we got to run the washer a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, I got a lot better because all summer I hung my laundry out.
Speaking of rhythms, like I really enjoy hanging my clothes on the clothesline because it's calming for me, and it really gives me some time to just think. And there's a rhythm to hanging the clothes on line and pinning and, and all that. It's soothing to me in a way.
I like to do it too.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because now that I think about it, like think about things that are rhythmic like that are actually good for my anxiety. Like, I think that's also why I like knitting and crochet and like anything. I like repetitive action. I get bored with certain things, but I like just, yeah, I like things that are when there's a pattern to them, I guess.
Right.
Like, I think it also is part of our biology. Like it's ingrained in us because, I mean, it's kind of why we're talking about this today anyway, is just when we are able to keep a rhythm from day to day, And we have like our mind has that consistency, and these things become muscle memory, and we're going based off of our own, like I said, like when you'll have a certain time of the day when you have more focus or more energy, things like that.
Right.
So when you are designing your day around your natural energies, then it brings you more peace, and kind of like your brain likes knowing what's coming next.
Right. And I think that, you can do this even, I mean, we both work from home, but I think you can do it even, I know when I worked outside the home, I still kind of had my own rhythm and routine. It was easier on my days off, of course, but like we used to work day shift one week and then we work afternoons the next week. So I knew on in my day shift weeks that nothing was going to get done because I'm not a morning person. And by the time I got home, even though I had several hours, I didn't feel like doing anything. But on my afternoon weeks, I could get up and get things done before I went to work. And I still had energy when I got home until I had kids.
Right. Yeah. Well, and actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually feel like I was in more of a rhythm. I mean, okay, yes, my working days were also pre-kids. So I can't say for sure that this was a working thing or a pre-kid thing. But I had a better rhythm to my days when I was working, because I had to get up. I had to be at work at a certain time.
Right.
There were certain things that had to be done at work at a certain time. And then, of course, I came home at a certain time. What's interesting is I was actually like my most productive when I was working night shift, because I could get up, like I didn't need to be at work until 6 o'clock at night. So I'd get up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I knew I had several hours to get stuff done before work, and then go to work, come home. Like I was working like 6 to 6. So I'd get home like 7 or 8, and then I just go straight to bed after I get home, and then sleep until 1. But it's been more difficult not working because I don't have like something like hanging over my head saying you have to do this at this time.
Right.
However, I was also better with my rhythms before I had kids, because now I try to set a rhythm or a routine for myself, and I'm constantly getting interrupted by everything they need. So my daily routine and schedule and everything is revolving more around their natural rhythms, even though trying to actually get them to do things based off of their rhythms is a totally different story.
I've gotten mine to do pretty good. I know basically like if we don't do school at X time, then I'm going to fight with them for hours.
Right.
I mean, we're going to get it done, but it's not going to be an enjoyable experience for anyone involved. So I know they do their best right after breakfast, and they have to get up and they have to eat and they have to get dressed and they have to do their morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can have school and we get it done in a timely fashion, and everybody learns something and listens and we enjoy it. And if it doesn't happen that way, like tomorrow, it won't, because I have an appointment. So right. It'll be complete havoc and for hours because they don't want to do it. So, but I have gotten them to kind of recognize their own natural rhythms and when they do best at certain things, so that we can kind of not have to follow their rhythm whether I want to or not, because they're kids. So.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, we can't just let everything revolve around us. Well, and for me, it's tough. I mean, one, my kids enjoy mornings about as much as I do. So getting them up is always a struggle, except for, the youngest, who is, I don't know, he must be awake before I wake up. I know okay, let me back up. So this kid will fall asleep with me in my bed at 8 o'clock. My husband will carry him back to his bed. We will go to bed.
He will come back to your bed.
About 3 a.m., he is crawling back into my bed. And then as soon as I wake up, he is sitting up in bed. Good morning, mommy. So I don't know exactly what time he's waking up, but it's definitely probably about 5 minutes before I wake up. So there is no waking up before him. The other two, then I have to like fight and struggle with them to get them up. Now, yes, I know that if I had just stuck with getting them up early when they were 4 years old, they would probably get up earlier. Because all of them went through that thing where they all woke up early at one point in their lives.
Right.
And then I encouraged them to sleep in so that mommy could just have 5 more minutes of silence. And now I have an 11-year-old who doesn't want to wake up before 10. So do as
I
I
get
say.
mine up at 7.
I don't even get myself up at 7. So our biggest struggle is one, getting the kids up, but then we have to get the animals fed first thing. And the biggest thing is the 11-year-old is supposed to feed the rabbits, a task that should take like 30 minutes at the most. And I swear this kid can find a way to make it last 4 hours. So it usually that's usually the biggest sticking point with our day going off the rails is just him just not getting up and doing that chore first thing.
Right.
Because if anyone gets onto an electronic or turns on the TV, puts in a movie, whatever, then it's going to be a battle like the rest of the day to keep them on task.
Oh.
So, and I mean, really, he's 11. He's old enough that he should be able to be, more responsible with his schedule and be able to set his own rhythm for the day, his own routine. We're kind of struggling with, some ADHD tendencies, which I know is my own struggle, which is like, it's a bit of a catch-22 because on one hand, you do a whole lot better with a routine. And on the other hand, you have a harder time sticking to a routine because your brain is all over the place.
Right.
So, it's probably going to be one of those things where I really just need to take some time to sit down with him one-on-one and just consistently work with him to figure out what his routine is going to be for every day. And like, just dedicate some time every single morning until he gets that down. And it becomes habit for him. Because I think it's just I've been so busy with the 2 little ones that I haven't given him the focus. And unfortunately, if he goes off the rails, it throws everybody else off. Because if I can't get him to focus and stay on task, I definitely can't get the younger ones.
See, we trade tasks. So like one morning it'll be my job and I usually take our littlest out with me and I'll go feed the chickens and the rabbits. And then the next day it'll be my oldest who's 11. And then the next day it'll be my 10-year-old's turn. And then we'll go back through it. And the only time it's any different is on the weekends. Sometimes we'll just have one of the kids go out and do it, or I will do it, or my husband will do it. But I've gotten into the habit of getting them up at 7 if they're not already up. And they have to get dressed and they have to brush their hair and they have to do whatever their chores are. So like if it's my oldest turn to go feed the animal and my 10-year-old is supposed to be emptying the dishwasher. And then my job is always to gather up all the laundry. They have to keep it in their basket, but I go get it from their room and I'll put it in the washing machine and I'll start the washer and my 4-year-old helps me with that. And so everybody always has a job, and then we eat breakfast and then we sit down and we have school and then we start our afternoon stuff after school. And it seems to work. It's just when we have things like appointments or something that throws all of them off, it makes for a fun day.
I will say that for the most part, I really try to schedule our appointments in the afternoon because I know how our mornings usually go and I know how hard it is for us to get anywhere before lunch. The only appointment I have trouble with where that is concerned is the kid's dentist. Because the youngest is 4, like all of the little kids, like basically, I think it's like under 6 or something like that. He wants them before lunch for their, like all of their dental appointments. And of course, since I try to schedule all three of them at the same time, it means we all have to be there at like 10:30 for our dental appointments. And the dentist is an hour away. So, you know, but that's only a couple times a year generally. And that's really the only doctor we have that has that stipulation. And it makes sense because like it's a lot less of a struggle for the little ones if they're seen first thing in the morning, because that's kind of when they're happiest. You see them in the afternoon and they're starting to get grumpy and tired, and then that's when they're more likely to have like anxiety and overwhelm when it comes to being at the doctor. So but otherwise, and of course we've got like dance is in the mornings, homeschool co-op starts in the morning. I do think that having something that kind of sets the pace for your day helps to set that rhythm for the day. It helps everything to move more smoothly. I do think that having set meal times and forcing yourself to keep those set meal times helps things move more smoothly, because nobody's getting hangry.
And actually eating at those meal times also.
Well,
run things smoothly. Well, because you end up you're hungry, and that eat some protein in the morning.
Well, yeah. Well, there's protein in my collagen. What am I talking about? All right. The last thing I want to say is your bedtime routine can actually set the pace for your morning routine. So, and again, I need to get better about this, because I know that if I do things before bedtime or as part of our bedtime routine that sets up my next day, then mornings probably wouldn't be so hard for us. But
yeah, it helps. I try to sit down and write what my goals for tomorrow are in the evenings. And then we do like a weekly thing, but we'll talk about that at a different time and maybe be a little more on task.
I am so tired by the end of the day. Really, like setting my goals or doing my brain dump in the morning really is what's best for me mentally.
Right.
But what I could do in the evenings, I do have a book that I keep misplacing.
Did you lose it again?
No. I have that book. This is a different book.
Oh, okay.
So this is a habit journal, and it really doesn't you're not setting your intention for the entire day. Like, you're not setting your goal for the next day. All you're doing is you're just outlining what your morning is going to look like. So you're just saying like, okay, these are the 5 things I'm going to do for my morning routine. This is the time I'm going to go to bed. This is the time I'm going to wake up. These are the 3 things I'm going to do as soon as I wake up. And then at the end of the day, you're supposed to write, okay, well, I think when you wake up, you're supposed to also like write down what your wake up mood is. But then the next night you write down kind of like, how did your day go the day before? And then you set your morning routine for the next day. But the other piece of that is, okay, if like I've got these things I need to do in the morning, or maybe I've got this appointment or this place I've got to be in the morning, then you can go ahead and the night before, like, okay, just have what does Fly Lady call it? The launch pad.
Oh,
have you done Fly Lady? Yeah.
Years ago.
Okay, so Launchpad has never worked super well for me because I can never keep an area of my counter consistently clean to have it serve as the Launchpad.
I'm pretty sure you have to follow the rest of her ideas to make the Launchpad work.
I do a load a day to keep the chaos away. Leave me alone.
There you go. All right.
I'm still covered in chaos, but I'm doing a load a day. All right. Except for those days when I have to rewash. Do
you shine your sink?
I do. Well, when it's empty. Do Do I swipe and wipe every morning? No. Do I shower every morning? No. Do I get dressed to shoes every morning? No. The only reason I had to pause there is I had to remember if I actually wear pants every morning. But anyway, all of this stuff worked really well until I started adding multiple children to the mix. Let me just say that right now. All right. But back to the launching pad. It does not need to be like an area of your countertop or whatever. What I have actually found works well for me is I use my dining room chair. Probably not the best thing, but it's visible, and yeah, flat surfaces become just dumping grounds in my house. And yes, I try really, really hard to like not let that happen, but it's just where we are right now. It's the season of our life right now. But the stuff is less likely to accumulate on the chair that I sit in every day, because that's usually the same dining room chair that I'm sitting in when I'm like filling seat orders and doing work. So I put the stuff in the chair that I'm going to need for the next morning, because I can't sit in the chair without seeing the stuff. Or, even better yet, like you can go ahead and put stuff in your car if you're going to be going somewhere the next day. Go ahead and, like for us, we've got homeschool co-op. So go ahead and put backpacks and the karate uniform or the dance stuff or, in the car the night before. So that way, because honestly, getting my children out the door is half the battle.
Like, I know you say it doesn't work for you, but like I said, I like to sit down and mark off the things that I accomplished and look at, like the next day and make sure if I have an appointment, then I know that, my rhythms and routines are going to be off because of the appointment, regardless of when it falls during the day. And if I don't, then I schedule my, like I'll have work tasks on one side and that I want to get accomplished for the week. And so I'll pull one of those tasks and put it in my work time. And then like if we have like a school project or, I have my kids do book reports and stuff like that. And so if one of those are due or we need to start one, and I need to instruct them through that, and I'll make sure that I write it on my calendar for the next day so that I don't forget to do it. Mm-hmm. Or an appointment, of course, goes on there. Or if I need to go clean out rabbit cages or whatever it is. And so I try to make sure that I put like 3 or 4 things that I want to get accomplished at a certain point during the day. And I'll put them into like the morning for the rabbit cages, or work is in the afternoon. So I'll put my work task in the afternoon, or, whatever it is, and try to put it in a different slot during the day. Not necessarily a certain time. I don't do time things. It's more of a, like this should happen in the afternoon.
Right. So you're time blocking, but you're not like devoting it to a time.
Right.
Specific time. Yeah.
The only thing that we do at a specific time really is I make my kids get up at 7. Other than that, I mean, we have a bedtime routine, but it's not, we just kind of follow whatever the rhythm of the day is. And if everybody's tired early because we had a long day, then we go to bed earlier. And if everybody's still all wound up, then we go to bed later.
Yeah. Although I will say, like I said, my 4-year-old tends to go to bed at 8 o'clock, but if I can start the others winding down at 8, even if that means like we're putting away the video games, we still may like stick in a movie, but again, it's part of that, like just kind of getting everyone to wind down. I
try to avoid the screens in the morning and in the evening because of all the blue light, and it messes with your circadian rhythms. So like an hour before bed is, like our bedtime routine of getting them ready for bed, and we'll read a book together, like, do a read aloud for part of our homeschool in the evening right before bed or whatever it may be, so that we don't have the screens on because it just gets them all wound up.
Right.
It seems
I think the hardest part with that might be actually like breaking my husband of not turning on the TV at night.
Well, yeah. And I mean, we were in a bad habit of we get them to bed and then turn it back on. And then I'm all wound up from the blue light. So try to avoid it.
Well, and if we even try to turn the TV on after they've like gone to bed, then they're right back in the living room. They want to see what's on TV. So
Right.
That's tough too. But I know it's hard for him because, he's like, he's been working all day. And so he wants to just kind of like be entertained. But
watching mind-numbing television.
right. I mean, I guess the only good news is because we really have no internet right now. He can't like sit there and watch the news or stream anything. So, last night we watched, actually it wasn't even me because I was laying down with the two little ones. Him and the 11-year-old watched Braveheart. But that was actually kind of amusing because like I'm laying in bed and I can hear the 11-year-old asking all these questions like, are they dead? Why are they all hanging there like that? Like, I'm like, oh, this child. Better than the two younger ones because the 6-year-old hates the word dead or died. And so she wants everyone to replace the word dead with passed away. And then the 4-year-old, really only because he knows how much it drives the 6-year-old nuts, says that he hates the word passed away. So he wants everyone to say everything is dead. So then they get into these arguments over whether or not the person is dead or passed away.
Maybe we should just say expired.
The new term that I really like that I've been hearing a lot lately is unalived.
Unalived. Wow, that's different.
They've been unalived. The thing with setting your rhythm is also giving yourself the flexibility and the grace to accept that not every day is going to be as productive as you want it to be. But
like yesterday, we got like nothing done until like 10 o'clock. I finally decided we really should finish butchering that deer. It was just one of those days.
Yeah. That's it for today's episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Grounded in Simplicity podcast. If we were able to help you in any way, please share this episode with a friend and also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can also join us over on Patreon at Grounded in Simplicity and help to support this podcast as well as become a patron and get a behind the scenes look at the creation of our podcast and even have some input on future episodes.
We will catch you next time.